how Jesus confronted spiritual elite systems and why they haven't changed. Every generation believes it is immune to the traps of the past. We look back at history's ancient religious conflicts and see isolated stories of a distant era. But if you strip away the stained glass, the ancient robes, and the temple stones, you find a structure that looks eerily familiar. 2,000 years ago, Jesus stepped into a world governed by an entrenched, highly polished religious establishment. His collision with that system wasn't just a series of theoretical debates over law and ritual, it was a direct assault on spiritual exploitation, institutional gatekeeping, and the subtle mechanics of religious power. And if we are honest enough to look closely, the machinery operating then is the exact same machinery operating today. In John chapter 10, Jesus delivers a statement that landed like a sledgehammer on the leadership of his day. All who ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. To understand the weight of those words, you have to look at what happened immediately before. In John 9, a man born blind was given his sight. Instead of rejoicing, the religious leaders interrogated, threatened, and excommunicated him. Why? Because a miracle had occurred outside their permission, disrupting their narrative of control. When Jesus called those leaders thieves and robbers, he was echoing the ancient indictment of Ezekiel 34. He wasn't insulting the true prophets of old. He was calling out the self-appointed, self-serving elite who viewed the people not as a flock to be protected, but as a resource to be sheared. He drove this point home in the parable of the wicked tenants. A landowner plants a vineyard, equips it, and leases it to tenant farmers. But when harvest time comes and messengers arrive to collect the fruit, the tenants beat them, stone them, and send them away empty-handed. Finally, the owner sends his own son, thinking, "They will respect my son." Instead, the tenants plot, "This is the heir. Come, let us kill him and take his inheritance." The indictment was undeniable. The religious establishment viewed God's kingdom as their private real estate. They didn't want stewardship, they wanted ownership. They rejected anyone who called them to accountability, driving away every messenger that demanded real fruit, justice, mercy, and truth, until they ultimately sought to eliminate the Son himself. Is the status quo any different today? No, we've more money changers today than when he cleansed the temple. Look at how the system builds proselytes. In Matthew 23, Jesus delivered a scathing rebuke. You travel land and sea to win one proselyte, and when he is won, you make him twice as much a son of hell as yourselves. Today, institutional religion often excels at making disciples of systems rather than followers of Christ. Success is measured by brand loyalty, compliance with internal dogmas, attendance metrics, and financial output. Converts are drawn not into radical, self-giving love, but into institutional conformity. Then comes the most sophisticated tool in the modern institutional arsenal, strategic negligence. In his 7 woes, Jesus exposed leaders who tithed their mint, dill, and cumin, but neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. They were masters of external polish, whitewashed tombs, clean on the outside, but hiding decay within. Today, this negligence is weaponized through curated silence. Modern leaders often choose simply not to speak about the things that matter most. They stay quiet on systemic abuse to protect the organization's reputation. They remain silent on greed and financial exploitation to preserve donor streams. They avoid hard ethical truths under the guise of preserving unity or staying neutral. By controlling what is not said from the platform, the institution shapes what the flock is allowed to think about. Issues of real harm, systemic injustice, and internal corruption are quietly swept aside, leaving the sheep uninformed and vulnerable. So what is the solution? Jesus didn't come to build a bigger, better establishment. He came to offer a total paradigm shift. He tore down the gatekeepers, tearing the temple veil from top to bottom and granting direct access to God. He established a priesthood of all believers, where no human institution acts as an indispensable middleman. He redefined leadership entirely, moving it from top-down extraction to bottom-up servanthood. The way forward requires us to stop measuring spiritual health by institutional size or performance. It demands that we return to the weightier matters, demanding justice, offering unearned mercy, walking with radical integrity, and holding every structure accountable to the character of the Good Shepherd. Because the true sheep know the shepherd's voice, and it is never the voice of a thief.